Hey, what it do, YouTube? It's your boy Q, and we're going into our second to last week of VCT action in the Pacific region. And you already know we're going to talk about that upset of Global Esports over Gen.G, handing them their second loss of the season. The real question is, though, after this week, how many more teams are going to be statistically eliminated from the playoffs? Because even though there will only be one more week left, it is super week, meaning that teams will still have two matchups left. And if it is your first time over here on the channel, what up? I do cover a little bit of every region when it comes to VCT, doing videos just like this. And I do also release almost daily esports news, updates, interviews, watch parties, you name it. So if you're wanting to stay up to date on everything VCT and a little bit of everything esports, make sure you smack that subscribe button and turn those notifications on so we can keep you up to date with daily content. But before we get to the pick'ems, as well as everyone's favorite, that regional Power 5, let's go ahead and see as far as how week number 6 broke down. And actually, it started off with a banger here between T1 and Detonation FocusMe going back and forth on Lotus and Split. But then when we got to Fracture, even going just about the distance, 23 rounds, as it was going to be T1 that ended up coming out with the win. Now, when we go over to Zeta Division versus Team Secret, it's going to sound like a lot of the same story. We're talking about Split. We're talking about Fracture going back to back there, going separate ways. And then over on Fracture, also still just about going the distance. This one, though, only going 22 rounds. It was Zeta Division that was able to come out on top, which would send us to our only matchup last week that I did unfortunately get wrong in my pick'ems. That's going to be Global Esports versus Gen.G here. And, you know, I wouldn't have been surprised if you told me that Global Esports won, but I was definitely surprised in the fashion that they did it. They're able to do so with the sweep here, never allowing Gen.G to get into that double digits. Now, we do talk about our next matchup of last week. DRX able to do what DRX does best in the Pacific region, able to stay undefeated. They did have to go all 3 maps because RRQ was able to steal one. But I mean, even when we talk about going over to Pearl, I mean, RRQ just they didn't show up. They were only able to win 1 round after they won that first pistol round there as well. But when we talk about our last matchup of the week, Talon Esports versus PaperX. A pretty good matchup as far as how things started off. I mean, going the distance, Pearl, then going Split, and on Fracture, again, a little bit of a back and forth here. But it was PaperX able to come out on top. And PaperX has been looking pretty solid within the region itself. And, you know, thanks to that upset, as far as when we talk about earlier in the week from Global Esports over Gen.G, it's going to be another week where I'm 4-1 as far as them pickups, man. It's really starting to feel like that perfect pick'em week is really impossible. But we are going to get into our pick'ems as far as for week number 7 coming up here. But before we get to that here, I really got a question for y'all, YouTube. How's your sleep, fam? Do you struggle with headaches after long nights at the grind? GamerAdvantage is a leader in impactful eyewear technology that's been proven to help you sleep better, focus more, all without distorting color or comfort, relieving headaches and eye strain, all while fitting comfortably under a headset. Stay in the game longer with GamerAdvantage. Y'all see me in my GamerAdvantage frames all the time, and that's because they truly do make a difference. And when you catch me with my red frames on, though, those are the ones that have my prescription lenses, because GamerAdvantage does that too. Link is always going to be down in that description below. And when you check out, don't forget that code YoBoyCue hooks you up with that 10% discount. Now let's go ahead and get to our pick'ems here real quick. And then of course, we'll go ahead and get to our Power 5. Now this week, things get interesting. Nice little start off here because Talon Esports really needs a win to be able to keep their season hopes alive. Of course, Gen.G coming off the back of them 2 straight losses. I do think that Gen.G needs a win right now to kind of prove to themselves that they still are that team that they were prior to playing DRX. I do think that they are going to walk away with the dub. Don't be surprised if this one does go 3 maps, however. All right. Now, when we talk about Zeta Division versus PaperX, this should also be a very, very good one. Wouldn't be surprised if our first 2 matchups of the week, though, actually go them 3 maps apiece, giving us a 6 map day here. Give me PRX. I do expect Zeta Division to really be able to push them around a little bit, but they've been wishy-washy, which is why I don't think they're going to be able to do enough to be able to take the dub. Now, when we talk about RRQ versus Global Esports, one of these teams, whoever loses here, realistically is going to have their season over with, at least as far as their hopes for playoffs, right? I do think that Global Esports is able to carry over that momentum from this past week, which will end up essentially ending the season of our RQ there. Now for Team Secret versus T1, it's really hard to call. Two teams that really haven't shown much of an identity. They've kind of been very secretly kind of in the middle of the pack. We talk about the rankings throughout the course of the season here. I don't know if this is going to go a sweep either way. I feel weird seeing that all of our matchups are going to be going 3 maps this week. I feel like that's such a cop-out, but even when we look at Team Secret versus T1, this should be a close one here. I do think that I'm going to take Team Secret in a banger, though. And of course, that leaves us with our last matchup of the week. I mean, DRX, Detonation FocusMe. One of these teams is on the top of the standing, one's on the bottom. It's going to go pretty well exactly how you expect it to. And that should give me my first perfect week of pick'ems. Well, that's if EMEA doesn't finish up perfect for this week. Right now, I am 3-0 thus far in the week. 2 more games going on, of course, tomorrow. So the day that I do release this video, as far as when I'm done editing it, if you do want to see as far as how those picks are going, see who I picked, kind of compare it to as far as the results so far, I'm going to go ahead and make sure I have that video linked at the end. I'll also leave a little card right up in that top right-hand corner for y'all as well, all right? But, you know, I know we're kind of getting into everyone's favorite parts here. Before we get into that, though, if y'all are digging the vibes, do me a favor, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button and turn those notifications on, because we are chasing down that first 300 over here on the channel, all right? But let's get to everyone's favorite part of these regional wrap-ups, and that is going to be that Power 5 ranking. Now, if it is your first time through as far as for the Power 5 ranking, just so you know, I don't just simply go off of the record. We kind of do like college football power rankings where there's a little bit of an eye test. We kind of see what their strength of schedules look like, how they've been looking lately versus how they were performing in the beginning of the season, and so on and so forth. But of course, with the end of the season quickly approaching, strength of schedule starting to get to the point where everyone's obviously played the same people. Again, it's just kind of a matter of how they've been looking lately. Right now, let's go ahead, not take any more time. Let's go ahead and get right into it with that number 5 team. And that's going to be Team Secret. I know that they're not the only team right now that's in the playoffs kind of contention in the hunt, but they are the only team that's in playoff contention that isn't above 500, which might make you think, why are they sitting in that number 5 spot? But I do think these next 2 weeks here, they really show us who they are. And I think they start that off with a big win this week. And as far as in the number 4 spot, that's going to be Zeta Division. They've been a team that's kind of been very silently in this like first 3 after the first 2 in the region here, very silently staying in this Power 5 all year round when we talk to the Pacific region, but they've never been able to push themselves into that top 3. So the question is, can they potentially do that here late in the season? And of course, speaking of that number 3, that's going to be Gen.G. And look, I know Gen.G, at one point earlier in the season, I was even asking y'all over here on the channel if they might potentially be better than DRX. And while maybe a little bit of recency bias is hitting a little heavy here, we do get to see them play against Paper X here to kick off Super Week next week, not this coming week. So that matchup will be an absolute banger. And of course, since we are speaking of Paper X, that will be the number 2 team within the region. A new squad for PRX from last year's VCT team, but still a force to be reckoned with for sure. But speaking of forces to be reckoned with, we talk about the region here in the Pacific. We definitely have to make sure we're talking about DRX. Still undefeated thus far within the season, making them an easy decision to be sitting at the top. I do think that they do more than likely finish off the season undefeated as well, but they do play 2 potential playoff teams within these last 3 matchups of the season. Maybe we see someone able to catch them off guard. You never know. But as far as for now, though, they're going to be like Ludacris back in 04, sitting in that number 1 spot. But I'm kind of curious, YouTube, as far as them pick'ems, as far as that Power 5, what are y'all's thoughts? Where am I right? Where am I wrong? Good, bad, otherwise? Let me know down in them comments below. And of course, if you made it this far in the video and you enjoyed the vibes, you want to make sure you're back for almost daily esports content, make sure you slap that subscribe button and turn those notifications on. Until we do catch y'all right back over here on the channel or wherever we cross paths, man, don't forget, with everything crazy going on in the world today, be true, be you, be sincere, game hard and love hard, all right, y'all? It's your boy Q, signing out.
If you ain't show something, you just don't wanna be me, but you will